Welcome back to another Protector.net Action Control Engine tutorial. In this video, we'll be demonstrating how to set up ACE to utilize the Protector.net Web API. For this example, the use case is a warehouse with a single employee entrance. It has back-to-back readers configured. When our system thinks there isn't anyone left in the room, we'll turn off a relay that connects to the light system in the room attached to one of our door controllers. To get started, I'll add a warehouse area to my system from the Areas tab of the Edit Site screen. I'll only need one area. I'll name it Warehouse and click the Add button. Next, I'll head over to the Edit Door screen for my warehouse door, go to the Areas tab, and assign our new area to Reader 1. I'll also select Track User Location. This way the door will report where people are back to the software. Over on the Edit Panel screen, I'll rename Output 3 on the I/O tab to Warehouse Light, so I can find it better when I make our action plan. Since our light is considered high voltage, I have installed an optically isolated interposing relay to control it. Beware that you should consult an electrician when trying to control high voltage circuits from low voltage circuits. We're at the fun part now, creating the action plan. What this action plan needs to do is find out how many people are in the warehouse, and if there's more than one person in the warehouse, turn on the light. If there's less than one person in the warehouse, turn off the light. I'll click the Add button from the Action Plan screen, give it a name. For the final version, we want its type to be Trigger, so when access granted we'll activate it, but we'll keep it as System now so we can easily test it and execute it at will. Since we'll be leveraging the Protector.net API to figure out how many people are in the warehouse, I'm going to start with some session variables. This will include the URL of the server, an email login, and a password. On the Action Plan tab, I'll start with my initial action of HTTP request in the network section. This HTTP action will have the Protector.net server log into itself. I'll reference the Protector.net API documentation when I can here. The URL path I need to access is /auth, and the parameters are username and password. I'll fill in the address, utilizing the session variable I made earlier. I'll select post as the HTTP method. In the body, I'll need to use correct JSON formatting to provide the username and password I'll be authenticating with. You can see I'm still leveraging the session variables I made earlier with the email address and password. Set the content type as JSON. Almost all Protector.net web calls will use JSON. I'll select bypass certificate validation due to the self-signed cert, and select Use Cookie Container, so subsequent requests won't require us to log in again. Click OK on the bottom once we're done with this action. Next, I'll drag over another HTTP action over the success condition of the login action. This action's job will be to get us how many people are in the warehouse. In the API documentation, I'm going to hit Areas on the sidebar and select the area service that makes the most sense. In this case, query users by area. It looks like total records is the number I'm going to need. You can see this API call needs several parameters. The ones that absolutely require is the area ID of the warehouse, and if I will allow expired users in the results. So I'll copy the URL here and fill in the rest of my URL in my HTTP action. I'm going to include the parameters as a query string, which means to include the parameters in the URL. A question mark is the beginning of my parameters. I'll type area IDs =, followed by a 2 in square brackets, which means the 2 is in an array. I do this because you can include multiple areas, and the API document requires the area's ID parameter as an array. 2 is the ID of the warehouse area. Next, I'll type the @, which symbolizes the beginning of the next parameter. I'll put in expired, followed by =, and then false. This way, the results of this request won't include expired users. This request will use the getHTTP method. I'll select cert bypass and use cookie container just like the last request. Before we run a test, we'll drag over the log action over the success condition here. The action after an HTTP request action will have access to a special type of variable called last result. It's basically what came back from the HTTP request. I'll select last result.content from the variable autofill list. Click Save, and let's execute. You can see now the last result.content has been logged as a notification. We see that the count of people in the room is in total records. I'll swipe a card at the warehouse door and execute it again. Now you can see total records is 1. So we've isolated the information we need. I'll delete our last log action. This time we'll drag over the set variable action so we can save the total records and use it later. I'll name the variable, and for the value, I'll set it as lastresult.content.totalrecords. Click the plus sign and OK. Next, we'll drag over an if action from the general section. Now we can make a conditional statement based on the count of people in the warehouse. To perform a condition or an expression, we'll type the @ sign followed by square brackets. In here, we can do math and comparisons. I'll type out our session variable count, a more than sign, followed by 0. In English, it says if there's more than one person in the room, then chain into the success condition. If there is less than one person, chain into the fail condition. I'll drag over a log action into the fail and success condition so we can more easily see what happened. Next, I'll drag over an override output from the IO section. When there's more than one person in the room, I'll activate the light. When there's less than one person in the room, I'll deactivate the light. We'll execute this. You see there is still more than one person in the room, so the light relay was activated. Now that we know our action plan works, we'll create a new action plan and select trigger as the type, so a trigger can execute it. On our finished action plan, we can click the JSON button and copy and paste the entire plan, including the session variables, into another action plan. Next, we'll create our triggers. We'll select reader as the type, access granted as the state, and our warehouse in reader as the reader. We'll choose our action plan and click save. I'll create another trigger, same as the last one, but with the warehouse exit reader. Now we'll have a couple people enter the warehouse. The light is on. Once they leave for the day, the light turns off. That's all for this video. Check out our other videos with examples of more advanced action plans. For more information, please visit hartman-controls.com.